have a couple of minutes, so
yes.
Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrusham Tattvamasya Adilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Nithyanandam, a warm welcome to all of the viewers who are joining with us from all over the world at this beautiful hour. We welcome each and every one of you to this divine hour where we are able to sit with some of the most esteemed, the most wonderful people who have been able to become Sarvajnapeetha Yajamans and who've been blessed to become founding members of Kailasa.
Yes, and today we'll be meeting a very special devotee, Maharagini Annan, who spent her lockdown liberating herself from the clutches of Maya through Swamiji's grace and blessings. She spent her time in lockdown during 2020 embracing her roots and reconnecting with Hinduism and fulfilling the seeking that she had been longing for so many years.
Today we're going to be witnessing from her own words, her journey from feeling in her own words, aimless, to having her life literally being divinely authored by a living avatar. Before we begin today's special interview, we will first like to show all of the viewers an introduction to Kailasa and how Swamiji built this nation.
The greatest thing I learned is
man has no duty is four-letter word. Man has only one responsibility: to live beautiful, to live happy, to live peaceful. No duty.
Parameshwar Sankalp
This understanding of
will persist sacrifice, tyaga, anything
इस तरह की पद्धतियों से जो महापुरुष
for
काम
the
कर रहा है,
purpose.
योगी साक्षात कृष्ण ही हम उसको मान सकते हैं। ऐसा महापुरुष योगी कृष्ण ही है।
आज को ऐसा नवरत्न संत मिला है।
Actually, I'm a village boy. Like this, I will have one stick on my shoulder and have my kamandalu and go from village to village. And in remote villages of India, if some old lady stops and gives food, eat and sleep outside the verandas of some village house or under that tree, either under that banyan tree or the graveyard, I'll lie down in the night and again next day morning walk, take bath in the local rivers and local ponds and visit some temples, and that is the way I went round. Actually, that is the way I remember me even now. When I close my eyes, I don't remember me sitting in a golden throne. When I close my eyes, I only remember the boy, village boy with a stick on his shoulder. Mere 42-year-old village boy. Billion views. Why? Before Hindus could recognize, I have created a very powerful enlightenment ecosystem. Everywhere, spiritual awakening is happening, enlightenment is happening. People are manifesting enlightenment, manifesting powers, everything. Kailasa is reviving the enlightenment ecosystem. The Kailasa will be the place where almost 1 million power manifestors are living and running at Please, 10 million temples and monasteries, which are spiritual embassies of Paramashiva, enlightenment becomes the source for energy and excitement. A person who can make enlightenment as a source for energy and excitement for anyone is an incarnation. Whenever I wanted to speak about Kailash, I only feel like let's do the work. So let's do it.
So that is a little bit about Kailasa and how Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, has built this nation by attending, caring, blessing one person at a time. And today we'll be meeting Mahadagini Annan, who during the time when everybody was in isolation and living in fear, she found the grace of Bhagavan. Today, we'll be journeying through her life and her seeking to find the ultimate. Thank you so much, Ma, for joining us today.
Nithyananda Ma.
Thank you.
Nithyanandam, thank you for inviting me.
Yes. And Ma, your journey started in United Kingdom. And how, what was life like before meeting Swamiji? Did you grow up Hindu, or what was life in the Western world before Swamiji?
So I was born in Uganda in Africa, but I was not rooted in any one continent. I was raised across several, and finding myself at a very young age of 9, I believe, I was in America after having lived in India and Africa as well. So I had no great roots, and so that left me seeking love and truth and meaning at a very young age. But there were a couple of things that I hung on to. One was my vegetarianism, and I don't know what it was, but I defended it like it was the last thing left on this planet Earth. And my dear grandmother's Govinda stories. So when Swamiji gifted me the spiritual name of Nithya MahaGovindananda, I really felt seen.
That's
But
beautiful.
yes, and defending for vegetarian roots actually gave me some, I mean, I was ridiculed in America, but that persecution actually forged some type of a sovereignty. It gave me that, ability from a young age to stand up for what meant to me.
And so you, other than being vegetarian and the deep devotion for Govinda, did you experience a Hindu upbringing? Were you constantly looking for Hinduism, or was it kind of going with the lull of life and moving with that American lifestyle?
Yes, I think I was confused. Inside, I felt Hindu, but to fit in, I was not Hindu. And if I was to be honest, I went through what a lot of youths go through, which is being ashamed of Hinduism. But I think the few moments I had with my family, living in that environment, the seeds were kind of planted, and they were there, but they were dormant. So I went and looked under every stone to see what I was. I did all the wrong things, the right things. It was a double-edged sword. It was a blessing, but it was also took me down some really wrong avenues, let's call it, But yes, those seeds, the Govinda stories, the pujas, sitting with my grandmother at a young age and seeing her dress her little baby Krishna, all of those things stayed with me during difficult times.
And then how did life kind of move along after that? Were you, how did you end up back in the UK? Was it from a job or you were traveling? How did that happen?
Yes, so to cut a really long story short, I ended up in the UK doing my degree, and then moving on to a very dynamic corporate life in IT. I traveled the world with that company, and again, I was exposed to all sorts of different cultures, but again, completely unrooted, and many careers. I didn't have any fixed identity. I tended to do, quite easily walk out of a career and then become an entrepreneur or go into naturopathy or whatever was the need of the day. I took up. So yeah, that was the kind of the dynamic work life. But that's when I recognized that I was betraying my soul, and my outward success was eating away something inside me. And I understood that the matrix really does rob you of time and identity and attention and authenticity and purpose. Actually, you don't even know what your purpose is at that point because nobody spelt it out. Swamiji beautifully spells out that your life purpose is to get to enlightenment. And what is enlightenment? Liberation. But at that point, that wasn't clear in my head. So again, you keep looking under every rock and seeing if, the purpose is lying under that. And I didn't find it anywhere.
Yes, and would you say there's a beautiful term that Swamiji calls it, called depression of success, that so many people who have reached a certain level of success in the outer world, have the job, have the wealth, the career that they wanted, and
family.
and they achieve everything that they wanted, but still they're looking for this. They find themselves not fulfilled from all of these things. Would you be able to relate to what Swamiji calls as depression of success?
Yes, Ma, that was exactly what I went through. And when I heard that satsang and that phrase coming out of our divine beloved Swamiji's mouth, I said, yes, that's exactly what I went through. And outwardly, my marriage was perfect. My home was perfect. My career was perfect. But really, there was nothing inside, nothing at all inside that I could call being real. It was, as Swamiji describes it, fake. And,
And what was that turning point for you that really led to your seeking?
Okay, so that was a very dark period. And again, I think the metaphor of the seed having to crack open, has to go through a lot of pain. And I endured, the first pain was seeing my young beloved sister pass away. She was 6 years younger than me and had an accident, and we lost her. That really, shook me. Like, what is life about? Can you live your lives and call it a life? So I became a bit sort of, I turned inside at that point. And then there was, again, the lies that I was living. I couldn't cope with the divorce, my situation with my husband. So I divorced. I went through a divorce. And then at the same time, I also left a very important, what was seen as important job. So my status also started unfolding at the same time. So there was just despair. It was breakdown, but it did lead to a breakthrough. So I think breakdowns do lead to breakthroughs. But the final nail in the whole thing was my daughter collapsed And, you know, that was it. I had collapsed with that, and which forced a type of a surrender. And I think when all doors close, grace really begins to enter. You know, when you're crying.
Yes. And in your life, do you feel like, did you have an influence in your life? We know that you have shared pictures of your father, and did you feel that the influence of your father had helped you, guided you at this extremely dark period in your life?
You know, I saw my father take sannyas, and he was with a guru, and but his life took a turn, a negative turn. So being a youngster, a 16-year-old, watching my father lose 2 houses after the guru had walked into his life, I became anti-guru, actually, I'll be honest with you. You know, and I saw, and we still see the downfall of my father. I think one has to be very careful when you're seeking truth. A lot of lies come dressed as truths, you know. And in my father's instance, I'm not saying that his guru was dressed as, you know, in that way, but it wasn't the ultimate guru for him. He needed to find a, you know, something that was more aligned. That also taught me something, is that yes, guru is the central core thing of Hinduism, but you know, like in Mahabharata, Swamiji beautifully says that even Dronacharya, if he wasn't able to take his disciples to enlightenment, then even he had to be reconsidered. My father didn't get that choice, sadly. So my father, although he left really good seeds in me of, you know, spirituality, I also saw him crumble from not being enlightened through that process, or reaching the enlightenment through that process.
Would you say do you wish your father had met Swamiji at that time?
Oh yes, that would have made the whole lot of difference to all of us actually growing up, because my father too was searching. I remember as a youngster, I didn't live with my family long enough. It was only a period of a year, but he had gurus coming into our life every, you know, because he used to run satsangs and do all sorts of things for the Hindu community. And he was seeking, I could see, and he had many gurus coming into our lives. And I can remember Ganapati Sachidananda staying with us. There was another very divine guru called Gangeshwarananji, was a blind saint who lived with us. And then his own guru was also there. So he was seeking, you know, my father was seeking to find the right match, but it didn't quite happen. And if Swamiji had met him, it would have been, I can just see now that it would have been a complete click.
And now you described to us that it was your first moment meeting Swamiji was not actually the moment that you got connected. It was actually in Kumbh Mela. Can you tell us why you actually wanted to go to Kumbh Mela and what was the reason behind that?
When I had this sort of real breakdown, I turned inward, and everything spiritual, what I considered as being spiritual, I did. So I went to Mount Kailasa. I did all the Jyotirlings. I did all the temples of the south through another guru. I did a lot of sort of. I thought that, you know, doing temple visits would get me there. So yeah, I went on many pilgrimages and kind of binge-seeking, I guess that's what you can call it. And I wrote 400 poems. I wrote books. I started to really, go in. But I realized that, that wasn't it either. That didn't get me what I was seeking till I
Would you
met.
say that was preparing yourself, preparing your inner space to get ready for the avatar's entrance?
I really think that's true, because I wasn't ready. I was still confused. But reading all the Puranas, having devoured Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana, and I watched Shiv Puranas, Shakti Puranas. I must have watched all of the great Mahadeva series. I was just, there wasn't a book that I didn't read. I read Osho, I read Vivekananda. I just binge seeking. But
So
what
you
I
really
did.
were looking for Paramashiva, right? Like you're connecting to Paramashiva, would you say that? Or did you were you looking for Krishna, or did you have anything that you were like looking for that manifested in your life as Swamiji?
See, my heart is to Krishna, is taken by Krishna's leelas, but I know that Shiva is ultimate. And I never separate, I see them as one, in a sense. And even when I was very young, my mother recalls me saying, I don't want to marry anybody. I'm married to Shiva. That's what I used to say. And
Wow.
I should have actually remembered that, when I was getting married. But I never took the Hindu oath around fire for that reason, probably because I knew that my soul was given over to something else at a very young age. But
So can you
having
tell
done,
us? Yes,
sorry,
sorry, Mango. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
no, this binge seeking, what it did really make me realize that reclaiming the remote control of your life is very important, and awakening begins at that point. And it's not where you've come from, because where I'd come from was just confusion and chaos. But who you're willing to become was what I learned before I met Swamiji, that's what I wanted, is what am I becoming? Not what I'm doing. What am I going to become was the thing that all that binge seeking kind of concluded.
So then can you tell us what exactly happened in Kumbh Mela until 2020 when you finally got connected and you met Swamiji?
Yes, when I saw Swamiji, as I said, my conditioned eyes kind of judged all the regalia, not knowing, what he really meant and represented. And I looked up, and I remember I just looked up and I couldn't stop looking up. That's all I can remember. Just, my neck was fixated in that position, in a sense. But I didn't think anything of it. I did see him as an unapologetic person, which really resonated with me at some point. And it was only when that day when I was in Boston, and it's funny because I had been to the ISKCON temple in Boston, which is where Srila Prabhupada first went. And I saw, I don't know, I just felt something was going to change that day. And I came back, and normally when I'm in Boston, I'm out on the streets enjoying myself. But I said, no, I want to just look at something on YouTube to see why I'm so unsettled. Why do I feel something strange is going to happen to this world? And YouTube just brought up Kalabhairava's darshan. And at that point, I knew that my time was going to change. So when I saw Swamiji's darshans, then I started binge watching Swamiji's YouTube videos, and realized that he was going to be starting Paramashivoham level 2, level 1. And we went into lockdown when I got to UK, and that was it. I was in that program for back to back for season 1 and season 2, I believe. And
so at that time when you were binge watching Swamiji, and just that time when you saw the Kala Bhairava Darshan, did you know that this was the same guru whom you glimpsed during the procession?
oh, absolutely. I knew. But in Calabar, I wasn't wearing any gold. So my lens with which I was seeing him had kind of shifted. Like, you are him, but, and then a lot of questions started arising. And then whenever I heard Swamiji, I watched the Bhagavad Gita series of Swamiji. And I thought, my goodness, this is the most amazing, interpretation of the Gita that I've ever heard. And yes, I just couldn't watch enough. I knew that he must be somebody extremely special. I knew he was an avatar. He was more than just a guru. That nobody, I mean, I had watched satsangs by Murari Bapu, and, those are all listening things, as Swamiji said today to me, you get into the habit of listening to satsangs, but you're not actually changing your life or imbibing any of it. But here Swamiji was really taking you into a journey of changing your life through the messages of the Puranas. And what really resonated with me is his interview with Rajiv Malhotra, when Swamiji describes exactly how he talks about whatever he suggests is always has a reference in the Puranas and Brahmanas. So that to me represents the divine truth, that it's unadulterated, and when you refer to that, then there's no possibility of corruption, that it is probably a dharmic code that we're getting a download of. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, and you definitely led us beautifully through your transformation through just through this, from the first time that you saw Swamiji, and then slowly, finally through the Paramashivoham programs, and finally having you even have received a new name from Swamiji, which is Nithya MahaGovindananda.
True to your connection to Krishna, of course.
And would you say that this new name is, how do you connect to that name? And you didn't mention it a little bit, but please can you elaborate on how you connect to your new name and how that brought out, like you mentioned that you didn't have an identity, and you found yourself searching for one on the outside, switching between identities. Is this new name your true identity?
Yes, I mean, it's always work in progress, isn't it? I'm not quite there yet, but when Swamiji gifted my name, I knew what he was pointing to, and I felt for the first time really seen and really understood and really heard. I really didn't feel that from any other source. And the day he gave me the name, I remember just crying in the shower. Like, I felt, first of all, completely bare in this, like I felt that bare in front of Swamiji. How do you know me so intimately? And I just cried. And all of the Govinda stories that my grandmother used to tell me just came rushing back. And I felt the embrace of Krishna as well.
Wow.
And yeah.
Actually, what Swamiji has given you a very special and unique blessing. We've heard Swamiji always sharing about how Swamiji uses the puja flowers that you gave him during his daily puja. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, I think it was in 2002 on my birthday. I got a call from somebody in Kailasa saying, you know, what is the most precious thing you can give? You know, that was a really quite a shocking question. I must say, I've never been asked that question, and there was a little bit of fear that ran through me. And at that point, I didn't have anything. I mean, apart from my daughter, I think that you can't give your daughter to Swamiji. I thought, what can I give? And I loved my temple murtis, which I'd been collecting for years, you know, and doing puja daily as per my previous guru, Dr. Pillai, had taught me beautifully how to, you know, depending on the moon cycle, the day cycle, you know, how to worship deities and how to connect with them. So I had collected a full set of silver and gold murtis, and Dr. Pillai used to say that you should offer gold flowers to your deities because they multiply multiple fold when you offer them gold flowers. So I was busy collecting these gold flowers. Every time I went to Chennai, I would go into that shop and buy gold flowers. And my idea was that I would have 108 of these little gold flowers and offer it to Devi every Friday. And so I thought, well, that's my most precious thing. So something in me said, don't do it. That's too much to, you know, to send your temple deities to Swamiji. And then I thought, now that I've said it, I can't unsay it. I've just got to do it. So it was my birthday, I think, the next day or something. And I remember just packing everything up and thinking, how am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And thinking, no, but it's going to Swamiji. And yes, I said farewell to all my deities, and off they went to Kailasa, Mahakailasa. And then Swamiji reminds me that he offers those flowers to Devi every day when he's doing his puja, and he remembers me. And that was a total meltdown moment for me. I thought, I've done it. It's finished now. I don't need to do any more.
All the punya that you would have gotten from the puja that you would have done personally is like 10,000 infinite times more, because Avatar is doing puja with those flowers and remembering you every single time. That is such a beautiful gift, Ma. It is a gift of lifetimes.
I know. That will be on my epitaph when I leave this planet. I'm not coming back. The Swamiji is going to liberate me, but I that will be my epitaph, that, you know, that was the best moment in my life. There couldn't be anything better, quite honestly. And
So intimate. So actually, and we actually, having seen how Swamiji sits for puja and how Swamiji is so beautifully offering and so gracefully offering out of the space of oneness, pure oneness, having seen that and knowing now that those flowers, it's actually such a pure gift that you have, Ma, that where that Swamiji is literally keeping you in his inner space when Swamiji is doing puja. That is such a beautiful gift, and I really cannot value that after, you know, after even like after giving, you know, you did give. Just, you know, even if it was a small part, or even if for you it was something that was so precious, then Swamiji made it so much more precious, so much more priceless.
Exactly, exactly. And that initial thought of mine was to offer 108 flowers. I hadn't quite sent him 108, so I continued to. I said, I'm not letting you go. You know, now that you've got my flowers, I'm completing my set. So I sent all 108, you know, eventually. And what a blessing. I mean, that to me, those deities were so energized, because I literally, when I was doing these pujas, whether it was Kala Bhairava or Devi, or, you know, I had the full set. I had the Dasavatar, I had everything in my temple. But, you know, I had connected with each one very strongly. And did the puja. Puja is so important in the unfolding of one's consciousness. You manifest the deity, you manifest their stories. Something magical happens. And when I went to LA to see the Swamiji's deities that he's consecrated, whoa, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, puja is extremely important.
Yes, now that you have brought it up, please do tell us and tell all the viewers about your experience in Kailasa, Los Angeles for the PSS program, and how that was, how listening to Swamiji, being a part of the Sangha, is, and what do you feel is the best takeaway from the program that you'd like to tell the viewers?
Yes, Swamiji is so right when he says, the first step is removing your mask, becoming, real, stop being fake, as he calls it, so beautifully. And when you are fake, you're fake at every 6 of those levels. You might be less fake when it comes to your own physical environment and your cognition environment, but the social environment and the moral environment and the environmental environment, you still fake, because you're not really you're not addressing the true you. And what LA taught me, and I was very resistant to start going and talking to individuals and taking on board their incompletions and having to talk about, little, I'd found some peace in myself and quietness, and I was happy with that. I was happy with my personal puja, my personal leela with Swamiji. But this LA really brought me out. I had to relate to people. And that's what I got most out of that. I realized that it's such an important element of enlightenment, which I had, put aside, having come from a family of just listening to satsangs and and thinking that's enough. But it isn't enough. Swamiji is so right that we have to.
You beautifully made the point that you're bringing up the point that Swamiji has spoken so much in detail on recently about the 6 levels of Paramashivoham. And of course, in your personal journey, you've experienced on the cognitive level, the emotional level. What is it that really clicked for you that made you move into wanting to take responsibility, becoming a member of Rajya Sabha, becoming a going to PSS, and really deciding to take your Paramashivoham experience into the moral level, the spiritual level, the environmental level?
Yes, I mean, you don't willingly do it because society has set us up to resist that, right? You go into your shell. And I'm not saying that I'm totally out of that yet, but Swamiji forcibly, in a very kind way, gets you out of that, And the Rajya Sabha meetings are a great honor, but you're being molded there. It's not easy as a journey, but an absolutely essential journey. So, when you have to drop everything, during a dinner time for your husband and be in Rajya Sabha meeting, that takes a lot of courage to say, this is more important. I have to be in here, and, you have to stand up and do all these things and make that time, which without the love for Swamiji, that bhakti for Swamiji, you wouldn't do it. You seriously wouldn't do it. But Swamiji has a way, a method to just rope you in, in a beautiful way. And that's when the magic happens.
And what is it that you've experienced since your PSS journey, and how has life transformed for you on a personal level, Ma?
I think, going back to that beautiful phrase, Satchitananda, when you start becoming less fake. The knowledge just arrives, you through your initiations, you are definitely connected to the Dharma blueprint. You know when to say no. You have this discernment, the Viveka, it begins to flower in you. And you start then doing Ananda because you start seeing things manifest beautifully for you. You see synchronicities, your karma feels like it's dissolved, and you become very aligned to life very effortlessly. Everything just happens, around you. And I always say you're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing with the right people. And people around me notice that. They say, Ragini, when you turn up at the bus stop, the bus arrives. What is that? And it is a bit like that. Everything just flows. And so, yeah, I think one of the miracles begin to unfold. And I guess the biggest miracle that I saw unfolding was my daughter come out of her depression and move into no depression. She's still immersed in her progressive lifestyle, but for a mother, it's become having sleepless nights to having nights when I can't sleep. So that was the biggest miracle. And the other miracle that Swamiji gave me so beautifully, I used to have to wear glasses to even look at the phone, to dial the numbers. That's how bad my eyesight was. I think it was during PSS2, or maybe it was during the other one, Paramashivoham training. I suddenly got eyesight back. And when I asked Swamiji, I said, thank you for giving me my eyesight. He said, I didn't give you eyesight. I opened your third eye. That's why.
Amazing.
Wow.
That's
And I thought,
amazing.
oh, so now my third eye is open. That's why I see things differently.
Wow.
Uh,
Amazing. Wow. And you literally saw it, like the physical benefit of it, the physical reality of it with your vision coming back.
oh, goodness me, Ma. I had glasses in every bedroom, every bag, because I just couldn't see. And, I would have to, it was just so much effort to, do anything. And yeah, that was such a blessing that Swamiji gave it. Look.
Wow.
That's amazing. How Swamiji's like the continuous initiations, even if you haven't asked, you didn't ask for those blessings, right? For the eyesight back, or you had asked?
I hadn't asked. Well, I might have asked actually, because when you're on this session, Swamiji was, I think that there was that beautiful session when he said, I am both Brahaspati, I am Dakshinamurti, and I'm, ask anything you want.
Yeah.
You can also ask for bad things if you really wanted, because, the other guru whose name I've forgotten, is also here. So at that point, I was just typing everything, I was in the flow. And I must have said, please, Swamiji, take these glasses away.
That's what Swamiji does. It's just, even if it's a fleeting desire, even if it just comes up in your inner space just once, Swamiji fulfills that completely and transforms your life. And having such a severe condition and starting to become dependent on it, and also thinking that's just
like
how you live, but suddenly having completely transformed from that's such a amazing transformation, and how Swamiji manifests in our lives. And not only from eyesight, you also manifest becoming a Sarvajnapeetha Yajaman. You're a founding mother of Kailasa, and that is such a beautiful blessing that is just literally once in a lifetime, that literally out of billions of people in the whole world, it is one of the greatest blessings. and it'll go down in history. Your name, the status of being a Sarvajnapeetha Yajaman. I just want to
share a little bit about your journey, how it actually happened, and actually the blessing. We heard the blessing that Swamiji had given you, so we want to hear directly from you how that happened.
So, I mean, when I found out that there was such a thing as Sarvajnapeetha Yajaman, ability to offer money for a good cause, I thought, wow, this is wonderful. I'd love to be able to. But when I found out the amount, I thought this isn't achievable. And then through just keeping at it, keeping it in my inner space, and asking for it, because I don't often ask Swamiji many things, but when I do, I'll ask for, can I just become a SJP, please? And, a little step at a time. It's like going to Mount Kailasa. You have to start with that first step. And if that thing is in there in your inner space, it will just manifest. And before you know it, you're right at the peak. You've got to Mount Kailasa. And then he says, now you're going to be a Karta. So, it doesn't stop, but it's such a wonderful way to exist, is to create, to give. I've always been a giver, and rather than a taker. I love to give because I experience having by giving. And to be able to give to such a cause is probably the biggest blessing, because somebody like Swamiji doesn't have to take your offerings. And sometimes you hear him say to somebody, I don't want your offering. And it's the worst thing I can imagine happening to me. It's like, what is your worst scenario? That would be my worst scenario, that Swamiji doesn't take what I'm offering. My prayer is, please take my offering, my prayers, and my gratitude. That's my prayer. That's my only prayer. So if you take away what I'm offering, that's like the end.
Absolutely, Ma. And it's not just that Swamiji is accepting your offering. Swamiji is actually taking that karma, all of that, anything that's holding you back from actually reaching the ultimate, from experiencing that ultimate Paramatvaita experience. So every time that Swamiji accepts an offering from you, it's your blessing that the avatar himself is accepting you.
It is, because he doesn't need anything. I can see that, he doesn't. So it's again our fake self that thinks that, your little thing's going to be of some use to Swamiji, But yeah, that's been my biggest blessing, to become an SJP Yajaman.
And since then, Ma, you are now a Raj Sabha member, you're a Chit Sabha member, and you are actively becoming part of the Sangha. Recently, Swamiji had a beautiful satsang for the Raj Sabha members, for the Chit Sabha members, about building Paramadvaita in all aspects. What is happening right now in the US, in different countries all over the world, where so many, like half of the population is struggling to get by. And Swamiji has given a beautiful solution. Now, today, actually, we had a beautiful session. And again, Swamiji was guiding us and, helping us to understand what we can do to be a part of this happening and to help people. Like you said, you've always been passionate about giving and helping. What was your click today that you had gotten from over the past few days about what Swamiji has been sharing, and how you can be a part, how you can actually bring a lasting change for people?
Yes, I think what Swamiji shared yesterday was probably the biggest vision that any leaders ever had, to bring Dharma back to this earth plane. I think that, noticing where we're heading to that 40-50% of the population only having 2% of the wealth of that nation. It's dire situation. But I think Kailasa has a chance to really shine in this problem that we face. And being in the meeting today, although I couldn't actually, my technology had failed, so I couldn't actually converse with Swamiji. But my simple way, because I can't make it too big so that I can't make it happen, is to think of an Analaya situation where we're donating, food relief is probably the most important, foundation we could build, to then offer everything else that Kailasa has in its toolkit, because the toolkit is so rich, but you can't give it all at once. So my it's a solution to every problem. I want to help start it with the small thing, which is anadana, even if it means, stuffing little bags with cashews and almonds and raisins and distributing them. When I go to India, to Narmada, there's lots of pilgrims that walk around Narmada, where I'm from, where I have a piece of land. I always have little, bite-sized things that I can give out, and the joy I get to give somebody even just one, a sweet thing is what I want to feel, in my older age. So I think that's where I'm heading. I'd like to be able to offer something in that area, and probably start in the UK, but then I'm not planning to be here for too long permanently. So I want to build a little Kailasa in Narmada where the Annadana can happen regularly. I don't think I'll be doing it myself, but I'm hoping lots of Kailasa people will come and help me achieve that.
How you have a vision and how motivated you are, how Swamiji has literally inspired us to take up something, even if it's seemingly small, something that has such a beautiful vision behind it. And as a Sarvajnapeetha Yajaman and as a Rajnama member, it's so inspiring to see that, how Swamiji is literally manifesting through you and to all of the people around you who you're going to enrich.
And what would you like to share with the viewers today about how they can be a part of this revival that Swamiji is doing, how they can contribute in a lasting way to their communities who are now we're at, like you were sharing, we're in a very dire situation in many countries across the globe. What would be your number one recommendation, or what would you like to share with the viewers?
Right. So the journey of life, as I see it, is that you've got to you must have become a contributor, all along the way. So that means, you were a good student, you got a degree, you got a job, you've got some money, and then you're going to use that money for good. That is the cycle. We can't do it without that, right? So my view is that knowing that dharmic money, when you've earned it dharmically, not through bad means, is a power. It's an energy. And what I want is that it flows where you create value. It's an energy. If you create value, it will come. That's Swamiji's teaching. And anybody who's listening to this really needs to align themselves to that thought process, because having a poverty mindset is not going to get us there. Because yes, we can give anadana, and that's needed, but that's to give people step up to becoming creators of value, okay? So I think that the worthy cause is that when you can build, well, what I would like to see so build, whether this is possible or not, is build the largest and the richest community of givers. First, it will start with Annadana, but it doesn't stop there. It needs to be, giving is not a charity. It has to become an identity that then leads you to a non-fake world. Yes. And giving becomes your new currency. And you understand that this cycle of dharma, artha, kama, moksha, it's so moksha centric, but you have to go through those cycles, and money is a energy that flows through all of that. So SJPs is a very important concept that only Hinduism has, in my opinion. All the great beings, they went through having money. Money wasn't it's a prerequisite to living enlightenment in some ways. You look at Krishna's stories or Buddha's story or Rama's story, they all came from generating wealth. It's only when you have can you give. And I think that that's an important thing for people to align to.
Exactly, Ma.
Absolutely.
And what you're saying is exactly aligned to what is SJP. SJP, or Sarvajnapeetha Yajaman, as you beautifully put, is literally becoming a creator. And in that a cycle of creation, you are becoming a pillar in Kailasa and supporting Kailasa.
And it's only through Swamiji's teachings, guidance, blessings, and through Kailasa, you can actually create that moksha-centric lifestyle, the moksha-centric giving, where whatever you're contributing is actually moving towards enlightenment, whether it's for you or whether it's for the person receiving. It's only Swamiji who can give that beautiful context, that beautiful understanding, and that beautiful guidance to lead the person directly towards moksha. And so for any of the viewers who want to experience this beautiful space of SJP, like Ma Raginandan, like Ma MahaGovindananda, I invite each and every one of you to visit sksjp.org. And we will be projecting that link for you.
Every single penny, every single offering that each and every one of the Sarvajnapeetha Yajamans put, or anyone who is on this journey, who is manifesting, all of it goes back into the ecosystems of Kailasa, where Swamiji is literally enriching, reaching out to more and more people through Annadhan, as Ma Mahagovinda has beautifully explained, starting there, to all of the different programs, the meditations, the courses, the thousands of hours that is available on YouTube that is continuously being added to, and to all of the sannyas sampradaya, to all of the sampradayas that Swamiji is reviving.
The various other services that Swamiji is doing, whether it's medical care, anything, everything is ultimately moksha-centric. Everything is ultimately leading each and every being that is being blessed by all these services towards moksha. So I invite each and every one of you to visit sksjp.org and to learn more how you can also become a part of this moksha-centric ecosystem, to contribute something really meaningful and to give that space of moksha for yourself and for all of humanity.
Thank you so much, Ma Mahagovindananda, for joining us today, for allowing us to peek into your life, to understand your journey. And it's really something truly beautiful. It's such a blessing, and it's so sweet to be able to feel that sweetness that you feel for Swamiji. Thank you so much, Ma, for joining us. It's been such a pleasure and honor today to have you. And before we conclude, we'd like to offer our gratitude to Swamiji for creating and reviving Kailasa, this nation where all of us can can enjoy the fruit of Hinduism and enjoy the true meaning of life, and to have a super conscious breakthrough. Thank you so much, Swamiji. And with this, we'll conclude with the
And I just, sorry to break in there,
no
but
problem.
before I do that, I'd just like to give one last final message to anybody considering to be an SJP. You know, give not out of guilt, but out of gratitude. That should be the message, and contribute not as a favor, but as a frequency that will begin to manifest things for you. And offer your time, offer your voice. Voice is also very important. Offer your wealth and offer yourself. This is how I experience my small rise and how I am building a little Kailasa inside and out. And I think we can all do it and do it together. So thank you for that. And yes, thank you, Swamiji, for being here and being my guru.
Beautifully said, Ma. Thank you so
Ma.
much. And thank you, Swamiji, for creating this beautiful Kailasa for each and every one of us. And now with this, we'll end with the Purna Mantra.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sarvam Bhagavat Shri Nithyananda Paramashiva Padukarpanamastu Om Nithyanandam.
Thank you.